Hello friends, hope all is well. I want to talk about a very simple leg training I've been doing lately, some of the ins and outs of it, see if there's anything I can get out of it in terms of insight. I have to go do this leg day in a little bit, so I'm just recapping really for myself and really see if I can share anything. So, okay, let's get into it. So lately I've been training out of a place that's really low key, this gym here. It's like this condo that I've been in. It's got a few rooms of equipment, but very minimal stuff. Like the gym I train at back home has everything. I mean, we have the current classic Mr. Physique of the Arnold, who just won. Mike Summerfield. He trains there from time to time when he's in town in Chicago. So it's a stacked gym. So I've been training with really minimal equipment. Do you remember back in Rocky? I forgot which one it was, but he was when Drago was, doing all the new stuff, all the new equipment, and Rocky was just in the old country, doing all the lower ab lift type stuff, chopping all the wood. Drago was doing all the new juice, all the new drugs. You remember that? That's kind of my situation. So I've been in this simple gym, and so this is a really simple leg day that I've kind of pieced together for anyone who doesn't really have great equipment they can use. And I've just really just been enjoying this sort of leg day myself. So. Right now, starting where I'm currently at, I've been sort of kind of rebuilding my physique for the past, what month is this? Almost a year and a half now, right? So I've done a lot of things. I've powerlifted in my past, specialty wise. I just recently got done with learning Pilates and getting a whole education in Pilates. And I'm just tying a lot of the pieces back together, and I'm feeling healthy, and my body's feeling good, and I want to really do some stellar bodybuilding again, some stellar natural bodybuilding again. But things are different this time around, just like with any time around you go. So this time, what I find that really works for me is kind of what you see here. Getting a good static stretch in has just been everything for me. I know what the data says about static stretching. I'm well aware what it says about static stretching, but when I was a kid, I ran track. I was like a world leading horizontal jumper as a kid, as a really young kid. I got my athletics developed really, really well. I had a great school I went to, great coach. And we would always just static stretch before we sprinted and ran and lifted. And I'm not saying it's correct on data, but it's one of those things, when you sort of get a feeling in your body of what's correct and what works for you. For me, it works. So I think the reason I static stretch, especially on leg days, is that one, mobility, and two, I can feel that stretch range of motion. There's a lot of stuff out these days now. Everyone's talking about lengthen partials and things like that. When you stretch a muscle statically like this, at least you lengthen it. So I think for me, it's interesting to feel what a position of the muscle feels like stretched, and I sort of get a mental cue before I go in there and actually do the work, right? So you go in there, you stretch the muscle, you feel what it feels like to get a good stretch on that muscle. And then whenever you do go squat or to go anything, you say, oh, that's the stretch position on the calf. This is the stretch position on the glute. You sort of get some clues and insights as to what it actually feels like, right? And I think that's really the positive that I feel, at least in static stretching, if that sort of make up for any negatives that may make up for sort of static stretching. So for me, I look at it very simply, I try to, stretch my groin, adductors, my glutes, a lot of things on my lower body. So I start standing, then I go to the floor to do a few things. And that's really the meat of it. One of the other things that I do that have really been helpful for me is getting my sort of core warmed up. So you see here, I'm kind of moving to a more, I'm slowly about to get back upright. So I'm still just stretching my adductors and things like that. And then what I'll do after this is I'll move into a very tiny bit of Pilates, kind of a Pilates flow to help warm me up. So one of the things that you can do to get warm, I think especially and particularly for leg day, is to raise your heart rate, literally to warm up, to heat up the core body temperature and things like that. Though stretching is wonderful, and I think a part of it is good because it activates a lot of those lengthened positions, and when you go into those reps for full range of motion, you can really feel those positions. I think one thing that's beneficial is just old school heating up the body, warming up, actually getting a sweat. And one thing that really helps me, I think, save time is some Pilates moves. So all of these moves here, they're just stretches still within the realm of stretching, mobility, and yoga. And there's two Pilates moves that I'm going to do here. that I'm going to incorporate. There's actually 3, but I'll just really mainly properly Pilates 2. So one is just the 100 in a sort of series of peel-ups. And I believe the second one I did here is what's called rolling like a ball. So for anyone who doesn't know what Pilates is, Pilates was made by this dude named Joseph Pilates, right? He was a real guy. He was a just German guy back in like World War One time. And you know, it's very interesting. He, to me, reminds me of like a practitioner of PT and personal training and kind of combined with physical therapy. And he figured this out in the form of exercise, which for me, I mean, that's like revolutionary to think that someone says, not only do you need PT on your hand or wrist or foot or something, he invented all these machines and exercises and mechanisms. And what I'm doing here is called the 100. This is called the warm-up in Pilates. So this would be the intro exercise. So as you kind of see here, obviously I'm having some tension towards the middle of my core, towards my belly button, right? So I'm in flexion with my head, then my legs are lifted, right? And what I'm doing by pumping my arms is I'm just pumping my lats, pumping my arms, I'm getting that blood flowing through the middle of my core. And you feel a rush of heat. It's like you get cooked. It's like you get spicy simply by doing that exercise. So it feels like a sit-up would feel, but just very rapidly and very much more low impact than a sit-up. So I just did that 100 real quick, and then I moved over to this exercise, which is called rolling like a ball. In rolling like a ball, it literally is like it looks like. You roll down to the tip of your shoulder blades, and then you kind of do another one of those. Then you curl up, right? Kind of like curling up and getting there. So after that, my heart rate is elevated just slightly, just gently, enough to wake me up. It's enough to get blood circulating. Obviously, if you circulate blood to the core, to the organs, you kind of feel like things are moving, and I can find a way to do that in a horizontal position where I'm not actually tiring myself at all by having to ride a bike or do any extra cardio. Because, you know, generally I'll tag on some cardio and add some cardio on for the end of the day. So these are a few more extended stretches. One thing I'm really trying to work on lately, and you'll see in this video, is leg development. I have a good set of legs. I've always had a decent set of legs, but I think I'm really just trying to get them like little parts of them, right? Like my left hamstring isn't doing so well, and just really trying to get that bodybuilding detailed symmetry type building back right now. I do feel like I have good strength, good muscular development, but I'm going to a phase where I'm trying to lean out some, and then as well as take breaks from leaning out, and then try to build some muscle, lean out, rebuild. People call it recomping, I guess. And that's more or less just kind of what I've been trying to do. So moving on to some upper body stuff, right? Stretching those lats. I was kind of putting my hip forward and getting some extension in my lower back without scrunching my lower back. And now I'm just kind of opening up my chest, my lats, my arm area. So I literally stretch everything, at least everything that I feel was tight through the day. This seated position I'm in right now, this is my position all day. Literally like all day, this is what I do all the time. This is my position. I'm just seated constantly. So for these, I try to just get my upper body, what do they call it, the shoulder complex stretched. So starting with that one overhead lat stretch, and then twirling a little bit for a little bit of chest to open up the side of those pecs and along the sternum. And then this one is just a straight up pull, right? Nothing crazy. So it's like a hang, but on a slight angle. It'd be more of a hang that you would see in a lat pull down as opposed to just a straight up pull up. Lat pull down is a pull up position. So this is the third Pilates like thing I do in my warm up mobility routine. How long has this been going on? Okay, not bad. 10 minutes, 9 minutes. And you know, this is what they call ballet stretches in Pilates, but I don't do them appropriately. So what it is just a standing stretch of 3 positions. So it's just one forward on the hamstring glute. And then there's one where I turn and go to the side and I do my adduction, long adductors I should call them. You let them really open. And then there's more or less just a couch stretch. There's one on the quad. So you just get every dimension of the leg standing. So I got all that work on the floor, rolling around, doing all that Pilates stuff, getting my core warmed up. And then I'm moving over to these now, just kind of stretching them in their full position. My warm-up is long. Right. I'm 37 years old now. My warm up used to be when I first started doing this 20 years ago. My warm up was whatever my first lift was, right? Like whatever my first lift was, that was more or less my warm up, and that's how I went into things. But now, if I want to have no nags, no injuries, and no pain, mobility is necessary, right? I first started doing mobility probably sometime after powerlifting in 2016 at the Arnold was the last meet I did. I took second in that meet in the 93s raw. LS McLean won that class. I took second. Then the legendary Dave Ricks, I think he took third. I think I beat Dave Ricks. I'm not sure. Maybe I did beat him that day. But I had to. I took second that day. It was a great day. But man, powerlifting, it needs so much more TLC than I think I was giving it. And so since powerlifting, I feel that I've been left with a lot of nags and a lot of pains and injuries. And this is kind of a result of it now. Nothing against powerlifting. I think it was me who did it incorrectly. I think you can really, in powerlifting, you can really want a number and you really think this is the number I want, this is number one, this is the number that I really, really, really want. And that kind of creates, honestly, part of the issue that happened with me. It's that I wanted a number, and so you can cut corners, you can cut on mobility, you can cut on that assistance work, and think if you just specialize on the lift, then that's more or less going to be it. So, okay, we should be rounding the corner on this. I'm stretching out my calves just a bit now, lovely angle, and I should go into my first lift. So for this leg day, like I said, it's very Rocky-like, Rocky Balboa-like. I don't have a ton of equipment. This is just, like I said, the gym just at the condo. I'm away from my main gym, my main equipment and everything like that. So, okay, let's see what I'm doing here. This is an interesting stretch. So I'm actually, if you look here, I'm stretching my lateral head on my tricep. So it looks like I'm stretching my lats a little bit, but I'm not. I'm digging my elbows into that soft mat, and that soft mat is sort of catching the skin underneath my elbow, and I'm just kind of pulling it away, getting a nice stretch underneath that long head. So the long head of my tricep, I should say the lateral head of my tricep, I'm sorry, is getting a nice stretch inward. I had some elbow injury, and I still have some elbow pain, but what really helps me is if I can stretch all of those things, feel the lengthened position, and then when I go into the weight room, I say, where was that lengthened position that I felt, whether it be my lateral head, my hamstring, and I start in that lengthened position and I pull it. It feels therapeutic that way when I do it that way. So this is the whole thing. I don't know how long this lasted, but so on film, let's call it 13 minutes. In real life, probably somewhere around 3-4 more minutes that I didn't show on film, just moving around, stuff like that. So under 20 minutes, 10 minutes if I'm in a rush, 15 minutes, but I do this before I work out, sometimes days off, and that's the extent of it. So, okay, starting on Bulgarians. So right now, I'm not doing any squatting, free barbell squatting. So right now, this is just my warm-up still. I did one without body weight I didn't show, just to kind of get my balance and stuff configured. And then this is me starting on 20 pounds. So I'm just starting up doing these just for, I don't know, any working weight 11s. My top working weight that I'm targeting is 15s. I've been doing a lot of 15 reps in the past year and a half. Like I said, I have a good number of things that just don't feel great on me. My training age is older. And so I've just really been in love with 15 rep ranges. If I can do 8s and 6s like I could back in the day without, having to stop and heal the whole thing, I would love to do it. But right now I'm sort of in a position where I don't have much of a choice but to lower the intensity and go for higher volume and higher reps. So it's not my favorite thing, but I also feel like it gives me a chance to really learn how to lift these weights really well. And I think if anyone is struggling with any mind-muscle connection, something that you can do is lift at 15, 20 reps. I remember Doug Miller, great world natural bodybuilding world champion. I remember when I first saw that he would deadlift for 30 reps, 40 reps, do these really, really high rep sort of exercises. Now, the thing about, I think, hypertrophy and muscle building that works really well is it's very efficient to do tens, right? The intensity is nice and high, and you still get a lot of reps in that sort of really count the volume up high, let's say, as opposed to these 15s. The intensity is much lower, and I'm doing a lot more work. I'm literally, as opposed to a 10, doing 33% more work with 15s, than I actually, is that 50%? I'm not sure. I'm not good at math, but it's a lot more work, right? As opposed to just doing 10, I'm doing 15. So I've settled with all these things for 15s. I can't do much more than that right now. My body just isn't in shape enough to do that right now. But I know I can feel my strength coming back, and I know with time it'll come. So where did a lot of my strength go? I think when I was in Pilates, if you're not training like this over 2 years and just dabbling and doing a lot of Pilates, you learn a lot of things. But this stuff goes, right? How muscles work. If you don't use it, you lose it. That's kind of the system here. So, okay, on to Smith machine RDL. Since I've been here, I've kind of been falling in love with the Smith machine. I've been squatting on the Smith machine, and I've been doing a lot of RDL work in row work on my back days on the Smith machine. Now, I think the thing that I like about a Smith machine is that if you have one of these available to you, if you have minimal equipment, sometimes you see them and you don't really know what to do. But what I like about these is that the bar path is already set for you optimally, right? Like if you look at where the bar starts and where the bar ends, I can sort of adjust my body and adjust myself so that I can figure out, okay, how far do I need to stick my hips out, and how do I get this bar to land perfectly right over the middle of my shoelaces, right? And that's one thing that I like to do on these exercises on Smith machine is that you can predict exactly where you want the barbell to go. So in the case of a Smith machine, right, you can look at literally the railings on the side that's guiding you while you're still on your warm-up sets and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to get it tied right along there. So, okay, from this angle you can see this is a working set weight. I think I only went 185. I can't see. It looks like 185. Again, for high reps, 15s. So I'm really stretching. If you look at where my femur ends, right, in my leg, I'm stretching right where my femur bone inserts, and I'm pushing that femur back, right? So I'm not focusing so much on my glutes. I'm focusing on where that bone sticks out in my glute and wraps around that femur bone, and really just stretch and come in. So this stretch that you're seeing, you feel this stretch when in that warm up that I was doing. So remember when I was warming up my glutes, I was crossing that leg over, I was doing that 90-90 stretch. I was getting I was finding where that stretch position was, and so it's like, okay, if I just recently felt a tactile sensation for it, now I can come straight to, how am I down to 135? Oh, I never went up to, okay, so for this day in particular, I must have stayed at 135. Okay. And anyways, you can sort of feel that tactile stretch and put it together every time. So this is, very, very, very low-hanging fruit. There are things in the Smith machine RDL that I think work, and shouldn't be looked over. So yeah, this is a good set. Just really trying to make sure that I'm staying stable behind that knee in the lower hamstring and still stretching in that upper hamstring and trying to get that glute to feel stretched, not bending in my lower back, but really pushing that femur bone back, right? Look at my knee to my hip. Long bone, right? It's a long bone pushing back, pulling up. So, okay, good RDLs. So that's Bulgarian split squats and RDL. So I've done 2 compounds. And these are things that you can find in, let's say, any gym, and I've just been working my best with these. Not moving a ton of weight, honestly, just really going for higher quality reps. So here's a leg press. Now there's many types of leg presses. There's this leg press, which is popular in hotels and condos and gyms. I believe this is just called a machine leg. I believe this is just an honest leg press, where your sacrum is being loaded to the back of the seat. You have to find the adjustment of how low of depth you want it to be and sort of push from your sacrum. But I think the idea here is finding where exactly is that load shifting from. What I mean by that is that when I go to push from this, right, where in my lower back, where on my SI joint am I going to be placed on the seat? So if you look at me, I'm actually floated a little bit higher from the seat to kind of get in line with my feet. So I think the hardest part about this type of leg press is finding where your back will move on the adjustment. I always think about a little kid, the seat being like a little kid who jumped on your back, and you're just trying to ride that little kid through a ride of like bucking bronco or something like that. So for these, I enjoy setting up for these. In fact, I sometimes feel they're much easier than what we popularly see in commercial gyms, which are the sled leg presses, 45 degrees. So you'll have a seat on an angle, and then you'll put your legs up 45 degrees, and then that sled will come down on you, as opposed to this exercise where it's just straight up just a straight up leg press, you pressing the machine, you pressing your sacrum out. So these machines, I can go, obviously, like any other leg press, a bit heavier. And so I have this one third exercise up for a reason, right? My split squat is my first squat, my lightest exercise. My RDL works my posterior, gets me fired up. So I have a lots of energy in the workout still. This is almost like, in my opinion, this set that I'm watching right here is the top set of the day, is probably the hardest set of the day. So that's what I try to structure the leg workout to do, is to try to get them to move like a song or like a symphony. There's got to be opener, then there's got to be a middle climatic movement, and then there has to be resolution and conclusion, right? It's a good training day has a story, right? You just can't come out the gate, fire up. There's a reason why they call it warming up. And then oftentimes, if you're not warmed up enough, I find that my first exercises get served as another warm-up, and I'm always trying to avoid that. That's why I rather spend more time on warming up so that I can hit it and get moving on. So now I'm moving on to my isolators. I believe for today I only did extensions, curls, and calves after this. So I basically did 3 compounds, and I'm gonna do 3 isolators. In my opinion, throughout the years, I've done all types of leg workouts, all types of leg structures. I find that personally, whenever I do compounds first, mentally I snap into the workout a little better, right? I've done workouts where I've done my isolation movements first. Though you get more weight on the isolation, though you get more focus on the isolation, though you get more pre-exhaustion, I think, and sometimes can have a better compound, I think the workout itself sucks a little more whenever I start with my isolating movements. My isolating movements don't get my heart rate up like I was trying to kind of do when I was doing that 100 and warm up in my Pilates. I'm trying to find compound core exercises that really rattle me up, that really get me fired up, that really get me hot, that really get me excited. And leg extension is just not that exercise. It's challenging, it's hard, but it's just not the exercise that I'm gonna bet everything on to sort of take me home and get me hot. So for me, if I really want a good workout, I say put the compounds up first, really. Like maybe sometimes I'll do a hamstring curl if I don't feel warm enough first, and then I'll go do my compounds. But whether you're squatting or split squatting or leg pressing, I always say try to get that ranked in an order that it makes sense to you. If you have a batch of work to do and you have a batch of what's the word I'm looking for? If you have sort of a batch of ideas that you have to do for the day, get them moved in an order that makes sense. And so, for instance, right, this is PR. I just hit a PR on a leg extension in this gym and this set of equipment. So even I think with structuring your workouts so that you do all the tiring stuff early, tiring stuff first, I think when you move to isolation later, you can still perform great, right? Especially after you've been fired up after doing that big stuff, which is generally not going to be the case if you compound later. So, okay, things are going well. My quads are starting to shape up a little bit. I've been having some issue with, if you can see, not really as much. My left quad isn't as good as my right on the teardrop. And then through my hips, you can't see, and that has developed on my left side and my right side. So I'm having a lot of asymmetrical things from sitting, from having a sitting job. I sit, I coach, I write programs, you know, and that's kind of the 411. So, okay. You can't see these curls too well, but what I'm trying to show in this angle is look at my waist, right? I'm more or less tucking my waist forward and out. And I think what that is allowing me to do is sort of get my glutes involved. So by tucking my waist forward, you can kind of see what I'm doing here. You can kind of see where I'm pulling from. I'm imagining pulling from my glutes, right? The hamstrings tie into that glute. And what I try to do is I try to tuck my waist in and pull with that tucked waist. Something that I like to visualize when I do on a hamstring curl is I like to think as if I have like a rock or something on my heel, and I'm trying to throw it behind me. So you can see on this angle here, right, my waist is forward, my glutes are kind of tucked. I'm not just sitting dead in the chair. I'm tucked forward, I'm moving forward, and I'm trying to get my heels to throw something underneath me, right? I'm trying to kick back, I'm trying to pull back, I'm trying to kick something up and over the back of my head. That's the sensation that I think I like to take up when I do hamstrings. So all they have in this gym is a seated, and I've been doing seated for the past 5 months, and it's been pretty good. So no complaints on my end. Just been doing everything lighter and everything quality till I can get myself back into a situation where I can go heavier on a certain pieces of equipment and machine. So, okay, here's my finisher here. Just some calves, nothing crazy. I don't have any calf equipment, so what would be my other options if I didn't have the leg press? A standing calf dumbbell, which works pretty good, but I prefer, you know, if I can just get this loaded on my sacrum. What I'm essentially doing here is a donkey calf raise, right? So if you do have a leg press machine like this one, right, I'm pressing from my calves into my sacrum, which is sitting on the seat. And if you see what I'm looking for here, you can see that outer calf on the outside of my calf is really getting activated. And then you can see that I'm trying to press on that inner one as well too. So I should actually reach forward a little bit maybe. There we go. Yep, that inner part. So I like to think of my calves like forearms, right? There's inner, there's outer part. And I try to think of it a lot like forearm training. I don't think about it as toe pushing as much as I think about underneath my knee, above my Achilles type training. So nothing, that's it. Pretty much nothing glamorous to go on about. Just some calves, just some good work, just a very simple leg day. So if you find yourself in a bind, where you don't have equipment for a elongated period. I've been doing something of this version for the past 5 months, and I feel like I've been making great progress. 15s, high reps, 12s, not a lot of weight, not a lot of commitment either, but it's done me pretty darn good. So, okay, that's all. Thanks for joining, guys. I want to do more of these training updates and share more of what I'm doing and what I'm up to, and hopefully this physique keeps developing. That's all. We'll talk soon.